that first month is just a whirlwind, and you read so much stuff that is probably not always appropriate to you. A lot of it is very, very grim. And you read all these things, but that's all you've got in front of you. And so one of the most important things in that first month, I think, is to seek support from people who are experts. So Mesothelioma UK obviously have a phone line and access to support services, specialist nurses, etc. And even if there's not a specialist nurse in your area, they can signpost you to someone, and they're always there for advice. The other thing is, you want to know everything, and it depends on what type of person you are, but if you want to know everything and you go looking, you're going to find some pretty grim stuff that's probably going to upset you in that first month. But it is really important to draw on the kind of knowledge and experience of people who've been diagnosed and are living with it. And one of the main sources of support to me in the very beginning was other people. So Emma was one of the people who I spoke to quite a lot in the beginning. We chatted like almost every day, I think. Natalie was the other one, and Natalie sadly passed away this year, but Natalie and Emma, I think, were the people who, because they were similar age to me, and I just felt like they were coming from the same place, because people keep telling me, you know, come and speak to Joyce. Joyce is 85. She was diagnosed at the same time as you. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but it's not apples for apples. No. So it was really nice to actually speak to somebody, to people who were a similar age and, you know, were still working and had those type of big life changes in front of them. And you couldn't do that without social media. And so social media played a big part in the beginning. But I would just say to anybody who was newly diagnosed, just be careful regarding social media, because I think what I got in the first couple of months was so-and-so's passed away, and then everyone, because there were communities, everybody kind of knew everybody, but there was a lot of death notices, and then that really, you're already questioning your mortality at this point, and then you're faced with it every time you pick your phone up. So I would say to people, be selective, maybe access the groups, but have them on mute and dip into them when you're ready and when you feel ready to do so.
I reached out, same as Helen, and when I met Meso, when I went through to the Meso Warriors, it was run by 3 ladies. They sent me flowers. They were there when it was results day, and it was like people I could be so honest with when I couldn't be honest with myself or my family. And then they died one by one, and then it became Mavis. And at that point, it does have the knock-on effect. I turned all notifications off, you know. Now, I very rarely drop into the chats. If someone reaches out to me, I always answer back, but it's not that I don't want to support people or anything like that, but I just think for my own mental health, I don't want to see the names being added to a list, and I don't want to be a name on that list. So I just think, you know, I'm here, and through you guys, you know, I put my story out. But I'm just a little bit more, I'll speak to anyone, but I don't want to be on the forums and it to become part of my life where I feel obliged to be, I suppose, as well, because I'm all about living for me at the moment. And as much as I can support other people, that's great, and I'd love to do that. But at the same time, I don't want the additional negativity of death being reminded every day that it could be our turn next.
And I think that's one of the crucial things, is that naturally the people who are doing well and are not, and the scans are fine, don't tend to tap in, because then obviously they're fine. And if they tap into it, it's this negative, you know, they feel like they have to support people and they're reading lots of negative things. So people those people don't tap into it. But then what happens is the only people tapping into it is the people who are struggling. So when somebody wanders along and accesses the group, all they see is people struggling. And so it's difficult, isn't it? Because that's a natural thing that naturally happens. But it just means that then you're not getting a proper picture of it. You only get.
And I suppose as well, it's like I'm not aware of so much about. I mean, Mavis is like this oracle that knows everything, and it's almost, I sort of have this feeling that I don't really want to know everything. You know, I'm just a little bit like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm in denial, but I don't want to be staring it in the face every day. You know, it's nice to have it at the back of my mind, like my date's in a couple of weeks for my scan, and you know, it's already in my head and whatever else. But I think for me, rather than tapping into the conversations of what's going off, I'd rather, like on the Meso site maybe, all our stories be up there, and if someone resonates with you, they reach out to you. Finding the right care is key, I think. You know, I think mentally, because I've been up and down, you know, positive, low. It's and I think coping with all of that, you know, I've tried counselling. People, you know, that wasn't for me. It was like I was going to die tomorrow, and I'm not. So, you know, but I think finding the medium of a good GP, good oncology support, good good hope stories, you know, that sort of, you know, we're all trying to be more positive. And I think maybe we just need to swamp more with today's facts than the old facts. You know, because when you Google, there's not much out there about what the you know, what's up and coming treatments and stuff like that. Not in simple terms that, you know, that we'd understand or that I'd understand. But yeah, I just think we need more positive, and support each other as much as we can.
I would say I completely agree with what Emma's just said, everything. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to knock on doors. Don't be afraid to say to your oncologist, well, I'm not happy with that, and I'm going to go look somewhere else. Don't be afraid to get many opinions. Don't be afraid to send emails, like Emma said, you know, like, don't be, because we're all very reserved, aren't we, naturally, as British people. We're all very, oh, well, the doctor said that, so that's what I'm going to do. But actually, what you need to do is question everything. And it's that thing of, there's how many oncologists across the country, hundreds, thousands of oncologists across the country, but there's maybe just a handful who are absolutely mesothelioma experts. You know, there's a bigger selection of them who've got an interest in it, but there's only a little handful of them who are experts and, like, you know, gurus almost. And, you know, you only find them through, again, digging, knocking on doors, and questioning, you know, well, actually, yeah, my oncologist is lovely, but she doesn't know as much as I would like her to know about what's out there and what's available for me.
And they don't suggest these other oncologists, though, do they? Like, mine never did.
So my oncologist was the opposite. She was like, I don't know that much about it, but I know a man who does.
Oh, I see, that's great.
And she sent me up to Newcastle, and he sent me then down to Leicester, and that's how I ended up there. But I wouldn't have known that had I not been questioning about it, and had she not been, I suppose, open about the fact that, you know, she wasn't. And there's no shame in saying, like, this is not my bag. But you see it all the time. You see people trying to be managed under oncology teams that don't know, and you just think, you know, if only
you can.
Support. To me, that was the best form of support. So speaking to you, Emma, and Natalie in the beginning was like, you know, my husband to be going, what are you doing? Are you still talking to these people? And I'm sitting there typing 5,000 words.
You can be honest, though, can't you? You can ask the questions, and that you wouldn't ask anyone else. It's like I've had more honest conversations on Facebook with total strangers than I have with my husband, because he's a little bit like buries his head in the sand until it's scan time and everything else, and, you know, doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to. Whereas me, I don't mind talking about it, and if I can help one person, that's great. But it's so difficult. It's horses for courses, and I just think, you know, I'm here, but at the same time, I'm chatty, and I will talk to anyone. You know, go down to the beach bar, I'll talk to 20 people. But I never really talk about cancer to people. I never say I've got cancer. I think I've said that once, Me and my husband were on a holiday, and there was this gentleman would not give up that if I'd won the lottery because I was retired. And he was on for me and on for me and on for me for days. And then I was just like, no, actually, I've got cancer. And his face just dropped. And I felt really mean then. And I said, I feel mean when I say it to people, because instantly it's like you've put them on the back foot, isn't it?
Mm.
And so I was just like, but in another way, I have won the lottery, because it's like a veil's dropped from my eyes, and I'm not bothered about stupid, petty things. I'm not bothered about purchasing the latest car, having the latest iPhone. I'm more bothered about family meals, memories, you know.
100%.
And it is, isn't it? It is like the veil just drops from all that rubbish that we think that we need, that we don't.
Well, I was like, I remember just before my diagnosis, I was like, I think I'd done some overtime shifts and I really wanted this handbag. And, you know, I look back on it now, and in my brain, I know I really, really wanted that handbag. And like, that was really important to me. That handbag was really important to me. And I look back at it now and I think, bloody handbag. You know, I'm not, it's just a handbag. It's just a thing, a piece. It's just material. Like, why was I so bothered about it? But I didn't realise, you know, we all do it though. We just run through our life from one thing to the next thing. And then all of a sudden you have this life-changing thing happen to you. And it's like an epiphany. As cliche as it sounds, it is like an epiphany.
It is, definitely. It does. It just makes you look at life in a totally different way. And I wish I looked at life like this 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
But at least I know that in the last 10 years, I'm more busier than I was when I worked full time, which is crazy. I've got this, like, I've got to help you, like with my family. I suppose it's, I can do it now while I'm healthy feeling. But it's like after my brother died, I support my sister-in-law constantly on the phone, but I'm over there 2 to 3 days. I'm decorating, you know, clearing urine up out of cupboards, that because my nephew and niece are autistic, so they do everything everywhere. They are full on 24-hour. So I'm doing that. I'm supporting my mum, my brother, who is, you know, totally bereft at the death of my other brother, and I'm sort of going through thinking I need to make things better for them now, so that when I'm not here, they're going to cope better. Even though it's not in a morbid sense, it's not morbid at all, but it is like I just feel like I need to give them the skills and try and make them see life in a better way.
But this is what's within your control. And
Yeah.
you know, we shouldn't worry about things we can't control. And I think when you get this type of diagnosis, you probably don't anyway, but the things that you can control, you should focus on, because then, you know, there's no sticking point. You can control those things, and it's something that you can manage, and then you almost feel a sense of success because you've been able to change
That's
something.
what I do. And I think, you know, with not having work, I do feel like it does give me a sense of accomplishment that I can help them. And at the same time, you know, they'll say to me, oh, you shouldn't be here helping me decorate and wallpaper. And I'm like, why shouldn't I? Just because, yeah, I should. That's what families do. That's what this is all about. So, yeah, I should. Before, I'd have just been too busy to do it.
Yeah.
But now I make sure that I'm not. So
they say, my family say that to me about, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, you know, your time's precious. And I don't ever think that when I'm doing that, but I do think it when I'm cleaning the house. I always think, oh, like, I might die tomorrow and I've just spent all day cleaning this house.
Yeah, but it makes you feel good when it's all done though, doesn't it? When it's all done and you don't have to touch it.
I'm using this as an argument to get some kind of cleaner, I think. My husband's not budging yet, but I keep trying.